Hello everyone, this is Ross from retrodreambeam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for more than 3 years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we were shipping out today on Tuesday. So yeah, yesterday was crazy sales. It was higher than any December day. I talked about this, I think, last video, where normally our January and February is better than our December and November, just for like the categories we sell, like the miniatures, the board games, the books. For whatever reason, I know that's crazy. Most people, it's just like November and December is like their best months, but this is starting strong as a January for us. But that's like historically speaking what happens for us. All right, first up is this Argus right here. These are going to be some color slides, like a viewer, like a slide thing. Anetta knows more about this stuff when she used to grab it at like estate sales and yard sales. I'm not like good at knowing which ones to pick out. This thing wasn't too crazy. This ended up going for $7.34. I think this is actually a like a lens or a camera thing, or like a flash or something like that. So previewer is what it's called. So I don't know too much about the realm, but I know it's like a good category if you know all of the stuff about it. So $7.34 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping. All right. Next up is going to be a set of 4 of these RPG like zombie characters. These are just like little plastic miniatures. They're kind of on the like cheaper plastic 3D printing like quality side. But yeah, these are just like 4 different characters if you want to play like a zombie apocalypse G game. These end up going for $13.30 for the 4. All right. Moving along, we have this. It's the board only for Ticket to Ride, the Europe version. This game was pretty good. I like this one. This Ticket to Ride is pretty classic board game. Got a lot of people into the board game world in like, I think like around 2010. It's one of like the modern games that like a good family game. It's still around. I think they still make different maps, but most of the game is you either pick up some cards that have different colored trains on them, or you pick up a ticket, which is how you get victory points. You're trying to match different cities with your trains that you lay out, or you get to play a track. So like if there's like 5 blue like spots right here, you can play 5 blue trains with some wild ones, and then you put your trains there and you score some points. So the game is trying to get the most points and complete the most number of tickets. And then they have different maps that you can play on from around the world. So this is the European one. This one has a mechanic where you can spend, I think, some kind of cards to get this like little station that allows you to use one person's other track for when you're scoring a ticket. So you're allowed to purchase 3 of them. If you don't spend those train station pieces, you actually get like 3 points for each of them. I think it's been a long time since I played Ticket to Ride. It's a very classic, fun, chill game. Very easy to understand for anyone. $10.49. This is just the board only. So if you have the stuff, you can still play it. All right. Like the base game and stuff like that. You just won't have those extra pieces, or you can just sub in like a marble or something. All right, moving along, we have this Skybolt hobby. This is gonna be like from a comic. I think this is a comic book character. This is Cinder. This is an action figure. I got a bunch of these Skybolt comic book action figures. I have a ton of them. I list them a little bit higher than other people because I have a bunch, but I'm just more patient with it. There's just a bunch of comic arts and some of the other action figures you can get. But yeah, this one ended up going for $8.50. I've gotten up to like $14, $15 for these. I also lotted some of these up so someone can buy like 4 or 5 at a time for the different outfits and stuff within the same realm. So yeah, they sell slowly, but I enjoy that. I'm not like a big action figure person, but when I find them cheap enough, I'll pick them up, but I don't know too much about it. That's more like the toy realm. I'm not like knowledgeable in the toy realm. I know that there's, you know, like Transformers and stuff are good, and there are a lot of action figures that are good that I would briefly notice, but I can't like spot them out in the wild and be like, oh, that one's worth a lot of money, that one's not. All right, next up is going to be a role-playing game book for a board game, Twilight Imperium, Ashes of Power. This is one that they would give out at a free RPG day. I have a bunch of this particular one. People love this world. Twilight Imperium is going to be this bigger board game. It's like a 4X board game where there's a lot of like intrigue. There's like politics where you like trade different planet resources. There's combats, of course, but it's not just combat focused. There's like research that you can do. You can build up armies. There's a lot to do within the board game. It's a long board game. I actually don't like it, which is it's like a board game that's in the top 50 for a lot of people, or at least on like websites. But for me, it's in like the bottom 10 for me. It just, the game takes too long. And I like this other sci-fi game called Eclipse. That was the more of my speed. It was a little bit more snappy, but it has less lore and stuff. So a lot of people like the lore in the realm. On the character sheets in the board game, like the race sheets, you turn it over and there's just like paragraphs of story of how they're in their universe with all the different planets and how they interact with some of the different races and why they're there in the world. But yeah, this is RPG. Obviously, they made an RPG because people love this little lore in the story. $9.45. A lot of board games I noticed have transitioned into having at least a role-playing game on the side. There's like one for Root, the Might and Magic, Woodland Might and Magic board game where there's the meeples of little critters fighting over the forest. Yeah, it's always interesting to me. I feel like RPGs are a hard sell for people because a lot of people play the classics like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Dungeon Crawl classics. There are other people that play other role-playing games, but I always find it interesting when the board game companies make one. So $9.45 for that, and I relisted another one when I was at the storage unit. Speaking of role-playing games, we got this Castles and Crusades 2011 Quick Start Rules right here, just like a little booklet. So these Quick Start Rules are like, just kind of almost like reference sheets for people. Also, if you don't know if you like the particular RPG, you can get like a free RPG day book, or you can get like a Quick Start Rules, and you can kind of read it. And if you play a bunch of role-playing games, or if you Dungeon Master a bunch, you'll be able to understand if you want to get more of the product. This ended up going for $10. All right, moving along, we have an incomplete Arkham Horror Black Goats of the Woods expansion. So Arkham Horror is this board game by Fantasy Flight Games. Never technically played it. Annette and I have played the living card game. There's also a board game with a bunch of expansions. I'm aware that some of the expansions can sell for good money. I think there's also like different editions. So there's a lot to this. It's like an older game. But yeah, this is just going to be a lot of the cards. It looks like there's like an enemy piece here and then a lot of the enemy tokens here. This is not the full expansion, but people will still pick it up because I think some of the stuff is modular, or maybe the stuff that's missing is not a big deal to the person. $19.59. That is a game I eventually want to play. We also have Mansions of Madness in the queue, which is a goodie and an old one that I got for like 10 or 20 bucks or something. I got it pretty cheap. It used to be like a $100 board game. That one I'm looking forward to play with Annette at some point. You're picking an investigator, you go through a campaign, and there's like an app that like reads different stuff for you, and you're going through rooms and investigating. There's like going to be some like, insanity monsters that you have to fight off and stuff like that. So different board game, but same company, same kind of universe. All right, moving along, we have Warhammer 40K, 50 or so bits and pieces. Got a huge box. You see me sell these bags. I listed like over 150 bags of these. I could have individually listed them by like their type, and I probably should have done that to get more out of it, but I did that for some of the pieces. The rest I just slotted up, took good pictures so people can see what they're getting. People can like kit bash, and they can use these for practice painting. They can put little bits and pieces on like bases of bigger monsters, or on terrain pieces to show that it's like a war-torn battle. A lot of stuff you can do with these. $20.99 for this pack right here that I made. It's labeled number 76. All right, moving along, we have the strategy guide book for a PC game, or maybe it was a manual. It's going to be Mech Warrior 2. This does not have the poster that's supposed to be in it. So yeah, battle guide. So this is definitely going to be a strategy guide book. I remember trying to play these mech games as a kid, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a blast trying to play them. A lot of people love the mech world. They like BattleTech, any kind of like mech stuff people do like. There is like a market for it. This ended up going for $10.50. I'm not like a big into the mech stuff, but I'm not like against it, if that makes sense. All right, next up is going to be this game, Titan the Arena right here. This does not have a box. This was a game that they eventually re-implemented into a game called Arena. It's a Fantasy Flight game. It's like this rectangular box with like a dragon on it. It was a really fun game, the Arena. I played a long time ago. It was like a game where you would bid on different monsters, and if you won you only had so much stuff to bid. So if you won the monster, you would get like their special ability for the rest of the game. I think you're working towards some kind of victory points. Like I said, it's been a while since I played it, but yeah, when I was looking this up, I was like, this game looks familiar as I was looking through these cards, and I realized that this was like the original version of the game that they had re-implemented. This is without the box. It has like really cool art, but yeah, this one's called Titan the Arena. This sold for $27.99. All right, next up is going to be a combo order. This is going to be 3 PC games. This person picked up like kind of like unique niche ones. This one right here is Star Miner. I forgot that there could be like little discs right here that still go into your CD drive. So yeah, they got this Star Miner one. It looks like it came in some kind of magazine or something. They got this F-Space 2001 role-playing game. So yeah, it looks like a kind of like a grindy RPG game. Really cool art on the front. This is the back there. And then they also picked up Discoveries of the Deep. It has the manual right here, and then behind it is going to be the disc. But yeah, this would be an interesting person to talk to in person because I could pick their brain. I'm sure they can talk like for days about like, more vintage and unique and niche video games of all sorts, so like PC ones. But yeah, this is also going, I think, international. They spent $33.22 for that. I like to pick up like the unique PC games and stuff like that. All right, moving along. We have this right here. This is going to be a vintage Hot Topic bag. Yes, this is just the bag. People are going to be into this. I also remember recently I was at my parents' house and my mom was showing me like stuff to maybe I would want to sell on eBay. And then the stuff was being held in the Zany Brainy bag. And I was like, oh, I actually want to keep the Zany Brainy bag. That store used to be a store where I would go for like kid crafts, Crazy Bones, which are the Go-Go's, and then like Beanie Babies. And now that store is actually Five Below, I think is what it's called, where it's like mostly $5 stuff and sometimes it's cheaper. It's kind of like a different version of like a dollar store type of thing. But yeah, that used to be Zany Brainy. I don't know if people remember Zany Brainy. Super cool store, super nostalgic. So I know people are into this kind of stuff. So yeah. And then also in middle school, I had a phase where I bought this stuff from Hot Topic. When I told Annetta, she cringed at it. And then I showed her my yearbook picture. So she thought I was making it up. But I got the wristband. I got like 2 wristbands. It had Mario, the star, the Invincible Star, and another one had the mushroom. I wore that like every day. I also had a spiky choker on, as well as I had my mom do a faux hawk for me. So they would gel up my hair like this. I didn't shave off the sides. And I did that. I did that for, I think it was like 7th or 8th grade, a long time ago. So super nostalgic story there. $12.98 for just this vintage Hot Topic bag. We also sold some Hot Topic like belts from like last year for like 30-40 bucks. So people do look into like the old stuff. All right, move along. This is also super interesting to me. Probably one of the more expensive HeroClix pieces I've had in my hands. The stuff is relatively cheap for like how old it is and how expensive booster packs are. You have to pay like 10, 12 to 15 bucks for like one of these long, they're like rectangular. And then usually like you can still get like a junky rare in it and you get like 5 figures usually. So like getting the singles is relatively cheap compared to the sealed stuff. But yeah, this is going to be a Dark Phoenix from the Mutants and Mayhem set. So that's like an older set. This is still like a good figure. I was listing live a few weeks ago, and I had a big bin of HeroClix that I got as like an auction lot. I just randomly bid on it. I was like, oh, I like going through HeroClix. I was like, I'll just keep bidding unless if I think, it's too expensive, then I'll drop out. I don't remember how much I got the box for. Probably like $20 to $28 is usually what a box of like random HeroClix goes for at like at least the auctions I go to. But yeah, this one ended up going for $78.74, which is pretty crazy. I've been also meaning to get more HeroClix stuff when I'm out and about because I saw a big seller online drop out of HeroClix. I had not known that until I was trying to price check some stuff. I actually used them to price check stuff for HeroClix instead of eBay because it's faster or was faster with their website. But I noticed they don't do it anymore. So eBay is just a place where you get single HeroClix at this point. That's the main spot. So that's kind of cool that I'm going to be focusing on it more, and that I got a big sale for that, $78.74. All right. Moving along, we have one of these little timeless Dorico or Doris or something like this. Is just a company that makes different like village pieces. Someone could be using this for a train village. They could be using it for like a miniature for a role-playing game. But yeah, it's like one of those red oil lamps. But yeah, I'll pick up like interesting little miniature bits and pieces. I know someone's gonna be sitting there on eBay. They might be like looking for, like red lamp miniature. They're like trying to find this specific thing. And then hopefully my thing pops up and then it's the right price for them. Or they send an offer and then I agree to that price. $5.24 for that one. All right, moving along is going to be blue is the warmest color. This is going to be based off of the movie. I saw that movie a long time ago. It's a pretty decent one. This is just going to be like a graphic novel for it. Just like a one shot right here. You just read this one thing. But yeah, I remember my brother and his buddy used to recommend a lot of movies. They were like really big into movies, and I would ask them like what mood I would want, and they would, I might ask them like, oh, I want to see action, or I want to see something hipster, I want to see something sad, I want to see something that like people really haven't seen. I want to see a foreign film, and they always had like different recommendations, and that was one that they recommended for me to watch at one point. So I know people like that one. $11.20 for that graphic novel. All right. Moving along, we have 3 of a Crime. This is going to be a card game right here. This is like a family card game. You just play it quickly. It has like, 35 cards and 20 number little tokens. This reminds me when my parents and then my older brother, which you saw me do the interview video with, and I would play different family card games. We'd play like Phase 10, and we would play Hearts, then we play like Old Maid, then we play Uno. We'd just go through a bunch of family card games. I know people still do it to this day. Board games and card games are still like a good thing to do over the table without using like phones and digital stuff, and it's always been like a good hobby. $14.49. I know other people have that kind of family night as well, or just with friends. It doesn't have to be just family. All right, moving along, we have one of these military books, like a World War I. So normally I get the World War II stuff, but yeah, I get a bunch of different types of these books. It's usually in like bulk lots. I'll buy a bunch, and people usually get bored or pass up on these, but I like to pick up the ones that are for specific places, tanks, specific vehicles, specific generals, stuff like that. People want to read into like a particular thing and they want to like dive into it. This ended up going for $12 for this one. All right, moving along, we have the big sale for the day. This is going to be the World of Warcraft trading card game. This has a funny name. This is War of the Elements World Breaker booster box. This one's still sealed. There's also this, it's by Cryptozoic Entertainment. You can see that this has not been resealed because it has like the white little brand here. That's actually important for some card games. These companies would do that so people couldn't, you know, fake a sealed product. So it's kind of important to keep an eye out for that. If you're ever like curious if something is or isn't legitimately sealed. For some card games, you just have that. This is a cool card game. You get to pick a hero, alliance or horde, then you get to pick your like class and race. Then your deck has allies and spells based off of that. You have equipment that you can equip your hero, and then you're trying to bring the other opponent's life points, their hero, down to 0. They also have cooperative ways to play where you do like a raid deck, or there's also like dungeon decks that you can play alongside with your buddies. There's also like custom ways people have made up that you can go look online and play different ways. So really cool game. Like, this is full booster box. Got this from an auction. The whole auction was my whole budget for the one day. It was like I had like $400 and I spent $440, so I went a little bit over budget. But most of the stuff is sold from that auction. There's 2 more raid decks left, and then I think there's the really expensive loot card I got, and then the rest of the singles and the lots. And the singles and the allotted cards, like, you know, a bunch of commons, uncommons, do take time to sell. Eventually someone will pick it up. But yeah, this auction's working out better than what I thought. $360 for this. I kind of blind bid on it. I just kept bidding until I won it. So it was kind of like my thought. I was like, I didn't like look up the individual stuff. I just saw, I was like, that's a really cool World of Warcraft trading card game collection. There was some like really good stuff in there that I had never seen. So I knew some of it could be worth money. All right, moving along, we have Struggle of Nations, one of those like military board games. Got just the rule book right here, and then also like our little administration flow chart, basically just like a reference chart right over here. No other pieces for the game. End up selling this for $7.50. I've been taking some like cheaper offers. I'm like, oh, I'll just move it, because normally I would want like 9 or 10 for something like this, but a lot of stuff you've been seeing me sell for like $7. I've just been like less of a stickler on the price, just to try something new on eBay. We've been doing it for a while, so I do know what I can get for stuff at this point, but I've been accepting some slightly less offers just to see what happens for the time being. All right, moving along, we have another one of these family card games. This is Robin Wood right here. So it's trying to be like Robin Hood, but like collecting wood. Just a bunch of different cards. Never played this particular game. This one's going international. This is why I call a lot of board games or card games board games, because they come in like board game or smaller boxes like this. But yeah, this ended up going for $9.45. All right, moving along, we have a Star Wars miniature. I'm probably going to say her name wrong. Shakti. I only watched all the Star Wars movies one time in a row, 2 days apart. It's a lot of movie to go through. Been a long time. That's it. I've only saw each movie one time. So I remember just by looking at her, like I remember this character. But this is from the Star Wars miniature game. On the bottom here, it tells you the collector number, what set it's from, little star for rarity, and then also the name of the character, or like whatever the miniature is. These are collectible. They would come in booster packs. The game's not around anymore, but you would get these booster packs. They would have stack cards, and you play on a gridded map. So there's also like maps that I can sell that I have sold before. I don't find the miniatures often. I got like a little auction bag where it was, I think I spent like 30 or 40 bucks. So I got a bunch of them. It wasn't like a huge collection, but I wanted to finally get some miniatures and see what happens. It's hard to bid on people for this stuff, because they also just like, people who like Star Wars will get this. People who play like the Star Wars role-playing game will maybe get miniatures to represent them. So this is like an item that has multiple different types of customers. This figure went for $6.99 for just the one. I got like a bag of like 40 or 50 of them. All right, last up for the day is going to be these skirmish miniatures. These are 15 millimeter. These are going to be well painted with the basing on it. So it, you know, it's on the base. It has like grass for like the flocking of it. And then they're armored archers. These, I went to this auction with like a bunch of military stuff. There's a lot of big spenders there. So like some people were paying like a couple $100s for like big boxes of painted miniatures. I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't have the budget at the time, but I did get some scraps there. I had spent $32 for like, it was like a partial box of these skirmish miniatures. For whatever reason, people didn't care about that particular box as much, maybe because it had less figures in it. It still had a lot of them in there. But yeah, these end up going for $18.37 to a repeat buyer. All right, that's everything, but I also want to let you know, Annette and I we started the Clank Legacy 2 board game yesterday. It's a legacy game, meaning you make permanent choices to like the cards in your hand. Sometimes you'll write stuff, you'll sticker stuff on, you'll rip up cards permanently, like gone, trash, like real life trash, they're gone. There's also like tokens, there's a bunch of story, there's different branching paths, there's different actions, characters you can pick, which have their own story and choices that you can make, all within like a board game. So after you play these 10 games, you'll have a permanent board game to play from all the choices you guys made. You won't be making future choices past the 10 games, but you get this like cool, unique experience. I love legacy board games. It's almost like a movie in board game form. That's how I see it. There's only like 300 or 400 total legacy board games. There's not a lot out there, so I'm always excited when there's new ones. Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated is my favorite board game, which is the first one. So obviously you had to get the second one. Was waiting for like it to be a cheaper price because it is expensive game. I think the first one was like $100, brand new. You know, if you bought it from like a shop, and then the second one I think was like 125, 150 or something. So yeah, really expensive game, but I think Annetta got it for like $80 or maybe 70. She actually got it on eBay on an offer, like on an offer herself for us for Christmas, basically, our gift for herself. So we've been playing it. It's a lot of fun. We're probably gonna play a little bit more. Each of the games takes about like almost like 2.5 hours, especially if you go into it. You take your time, you read the story, you read all the flavor text of all the cards. As long as you don't rush it, it's a really good experience. We've done 2 games, played for about 5 hours yesterday. We're gonna play some more today. That's everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope everyone's having a good week so far.